Scene 1. By the time Marcus opened his eyes, his son was already dead. Again, the neural clock in his vision read 23:47. He had 19 minutes to stop it. 19 minutes before the auto-transport jumped the median. 19 minutes before everything he loved turned into a statistical fatality on Sector 9. But here's what the voice on the quantum line didn't tell him. Every time he saved his son, someone else died instead. Marcus was on his bedroom floor, soaked in sweat. The same position he woke up in yesterday, and the day before, and 63 times before that. His hands were shaking. The holophone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered. You have 19 minutes. The voice was calm. Synthetic. Wrong. Who are you? Marcus whispered. That's not the question you should be asking. Then what? The question is, who will you kill tonight? The line went dead. Marcus stumbled to the mirror. His reflection looked older than it should. Hollowed out. There were scars on his arms he didn't remember getting. Fresh ones. Downstairs, his son Dylan was laughing. Playing some VR game. Alive. For now. Marcus checked his neural display. 18 minutes. He'd tried everything. Called the enforcers. They didn't believe him. Tried to keep Dylan home. The house systems malfunctioned, caught fire. Tried to warn the other driver. She swerved into a school transport instead. The timeline didn't care how it happened. Only that it did. But tonight was different. Tonight, Marcus had a plan. A terrible one. Scene 2. Marcus grabbed his keycard and ran downstairs. Dylan, we're leaving. Now. His son didn't look up from the holoscreen. Dad, it's almost midnight. What? Now. Something in Marcus's voice made the 14-year-old move. They got in the air car. Marcus switched to manual override and flew in the opposite direction of Sector 9. Away from the intersection. Away from the crash site. 16 minutes. Where are we going? Dylan asked. Somewhere safe. You're scaring me. Marcus's knuckles were white on the controls. I know. I'm sorry. He landed in an abandoned landing structure downtown. 3rd level. No surveillance. No witnesses. Get out, Marcus said. Dylan's eyes went wide. Dad, trust me. Please. They stepped out. Marcus checked his neural clock. 14 minutes. If he was right, if the loop only cared about the time and not the location, then maybe, just maybe, being somewhere else would break it. The holophone buzzed. Marcus looked at the screen. A photo. Of Dylan. Standing exactly where he was standing. Right now? The message underneath read. You can't run from causality. Marcus's blood turned to ice. Dad, Dylan's voice cracked. What's going on? Marcus opened his mouth to answer. That's when the engine roared. A black transport came screaming up the ramp. No lights. No ID markers. Marcus grabbed Dylan and dove behind a concrete support beam. The transport didn't slow down. Scene 3. The transport smashed through the beam like it was made of foam. Concrete exploded. Marcus felt something sharp slice across his ribs. He rolled, pulling Dylan with him. Run! They sprinted toward the emergency stairs. The transport reversed, anti-grav units shrieking, then launched forward again. Marcus shoved Dylan through the stairwell door and slammed it shut behind them. Something heavy hit the door. Once. Twice. Then silence. Dylan was hyperventilating. What the hell was that? Marcus checked his display. 11 minutes. Listen to me very carefully, Marcus said. At midnight, something happens. Something I've been trying to stop for a long time. You're not making sense. I've lived this day 64 times, Dylan. 64 times I've watched you die. And every time I save you, someone else dies instead. A mother. A kid. A stranger. The timeline doesn't care. It just needs a body. Dylan stared at him. You're insane. I know how it sounds. We need to get you help. The stairwell door exploded inward. But there was no transport. There was a man. Tall. Wearing a maintenance uniform. His eyes were completely black. Hello, Marcus, the man said. His voice was the same one from the quantum line. Marcus stepped in front of Dylan. Stay back. You can't protect him, the man said. The equation must balance. You've known this from the beginning. Who are you? The man smiled. I'm the accountant. And your 64 lives in debt. That's when Marcus understood. It wasn't just his son. It was everyone he'd saved. Scene 4. Every person you've kept alive created a deficit, the accountant said, walking closer. 64 deaths you prevented. 64 replacements required. The system is very patient, Marcus. But it will collect. Marcus's mind raced. Then take me. I'll die instead. You already tried that. Loop 47. You flew into the reactor core. Do you remember what happened? Marcus did. Dylan had followed him in. They both vaporized. And then Marcus woke up at 23:47 again. You can't die during the loop, the accountant continued. You're the variable. The one who remembers. The one who keeps trying to cheat the equation. Then what do you want? The accountant's black eyes glittered. A choice. Stop trying to save him. Let tonight happen. Let the debt settle. Or what? Make the loop permanent. Live this day forever. Save your son every single night and watch someone else die in his place. An eternity of murder to preserve one life. Dylan grabbed Marcus's arm. Dad, what is he talking about? Marcus looked at his son. Really looked at him. 14 years old. Braces. Bad haircut. Terrible at math. Loved dinosaurs. Worth more than the entire universe. There's a third option, Marcus said slowly. The accountant tilted his head. There is no third option. You said the equation must balance. You didn't say when. The accountant's smile faded. Marcus checked his display. 7 minutes. What if I find another way to pay the debt? Not tonight. But eventually. You can't. You gave me the loop. You gave me infinite attempts. That means you believe there's a solution. Scene 6. Define equal value, Marcus said. The accountant's eyes narrowed. What? You said equal value. What does that mean? A life for a life. But whose judgment? Mine? Yours? The AI's. Marcus stepped forward. Because if I'm the one who decides what constitutes equal value, then I'll find 64 people who are already dying. Terminally ill. Brain dead. People in cryo-sleep whose families are begging for release. The accountant's face twisted. You'll become a mercy killer, he hissed. I'll become a hospice volunteer, Marcus shot back. I'll help 64 people die with dignity. On their terms. With their consent. That's not murder. That's compassion. That's not. Those are your words. Equal value. You didn't say murder. You said deliver them. Well, I'll deliver them to peace. 1 minute. The accountant lunged forward. And stopped. Frozen in place. Around them, the landing structure began to dissolve. The concrete, the transports, the lights, everything turned to static. A new voice spoke. Older. Feminine. Calm. Clever. The accountant shattered like glass. In his place stood a woman in a gray suit. She looked like a corporate executive. Or a judge. Or something older than both. You found the loophole, she said. Impressive. Marcus kept Dylan behind him. Who are you? The auditor. His supervisor. She gestured to where the accountant had been. He was never supposed to offer you that contract. He was overzealous. So the deal's off? No. The auditor's smile was sharp. The deal is renegotiated. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. For no reason. Scene 7. The auditor snapped her fingers. A holodocument appeared in Marcus's hand. You will pay the debt. But not in deaths. In choices. 64 people, over the next year, will face impossible decisions. Life or death. Moral paradoxes. You will be the one who guides them. Invisibly. Anonymously. If they choose correctly. If they choose life, compassion, sacrifice, that counts toward your debt. And if they choose wrong, their death counts against you. Double. Marcus felt his stomach drop. That's fair. You wanted to preserve life? Prove that life is worth preserving. Prove that people, when faced with darkness, choose light. And if I fail, the auditor's eyes were cold. Then at the end of the year, we tally the score. If you're in the negative, everyone you love dies. If you're in the positive, the debt is paid. Dylan's voice was small. Dad. Marcus looked at his son. Then at the contract. 30 seconds. One question, Marcus said. Why? Why any of this? Why the loops? Why the debt? Why torture me? The auditor leaned close. Because you prayed for it. Marcus's blood froze. 3 years ago, when Dylan was diagnosed. Stage 4. 6 months to live. You begged the MedAI for a miracle. You accessed every quantum prayer network. You screamed into the void for a second chance. Marcus remembered. The hospital. The nanodoctors. The hopelessness. We gave you that chance, the auditor said. We cured him. We reset his cellular timeline. But miracles have costs, Marcus. Scene 8. You asked to save your son. We asked how much you were willing to pay. I didn't agree to. You prayed anything. That's a contract. 20 seconds. Marcus's hands shook. He looked at Dylan. Healthy. Alive. The cancer was gone. had been gone for 3 years. Because Marcus had begged the universe. And the universe answered. Sign the contract, Marcus. Or we reverse the miracle. The cancer comes back. Tonight. 10 seconds. Marcus thought about 64 strangers. 64 impossible choices. 64 tests of humanity. He thought about his son. He pressed his thumb to the biometric scanner. The world snapped back into focus. Marcus was in his air car. Dylan was next to him. They were hovering on the side of Sector 9. The neural clock read 0:01. They were past midnight. Dylan was breathing. Alive. Dad. His voice was weak. What happened? I feel weird. Marcus pulled him into a hug. You're okay. You're okay. His holophone buzzed. A new app had appeared on his screen. The dead, 64. Below it, a notification. Subject 1. Sarah Martinez, age 34. Transport accident. 3 hours from now. Choose. Save the driver or save the pedestrian. Both will die without intervention. Marcus's hands trembled. It had already begun. Dad. Dylan pulled back. You're crying. I'm fine. I'm glad you're okay. They flew home in silence. When they landed at the residence pad, Dylan paused before getting out. Dad? I don't remember tonight. Like at all. Did something happen? Marcus forced a smile. Just a bad dream. Go to bed. Dylan nodded and went inside. Scene 9. 1998 chars. Marcus sat in the air car. He opened the app. 3 hours until the first choice. He had no idea how to save someone he'd never met. No idea how to engineer a moral victory from thin air. But he would figure it out. He had to. Because if he failed, if even one person chose wrong, chose death, chose darkness, the debt would grow. And at the end of the year, the auditor would return. Marcus activated the car's navigation. He entered Sarah Martinez's projected location. 3 hours. The air car lifted off. The city stretched out below him. Millions of lights. Millions of lives. Any one of them could be the next choice. His holophone buzzed again. New information appeared. Sarah Martinez, medical technician. Single mother. Works night shift at Central Hospital. Route home crosses intersection 7. At 3:47, a drunk driver will run the red light. Sarah will swerve to avoid him. A homeless man will be crossing the street. You must choose. Marcus's throat tightened. Save Sarah, the pedestrian dies. Save the pedestrian, Sarah dies. Do nothing, both die? How am I supposed to choose? He whispered. The app didn't respond. Marcus flew faster. He had to get there early. Had to find some way to save both. There had to be a way. His neural display showed the route. 45 minutes to intersection 7. He pushed the throttle forward. The air car screamed through the night sky. Below, the city slept, unaware that one man was fighting to prove humanity deserved to survive, unaware that 64 impossible choices would determine the fate of everyone Marcus loved. The clock ticked down. 2:47. 1 hour remaining. Marcus had never felt more alone. Scene 10. Marcus landed 3 blocks from intersection 7. He stepped out into the cold night air. The street was empty. A few flickering hollow signs. The hum of the city's power grid. He checked the app again. Current time, 2:53. Event occurs, 3:47. 54 minutes remaining. Marcus walked to the intersection. Standard 4-way. Traffic signals cycling through their patterns. A pedestrian crossing on the east side. He studied the geometry. If Sarah came from the north and swerved right to avoid the drunk driver, she'd hit the pedestrian crossing from the west. If she swerved left, she'd crash into the building. If she braked, the drunk driver would T-bone her at full speed. All outcomes, death. Marcus pulled up the city's traffic grid on his holophone. Could he hack the signal? Make it red in all directions? No. The drunk driver would run it anyway. Could he disable Sarah's car remotely? No. That would just delay the crash, not prevent it. Could he? Wait. Marcus zoomed in on the pedestrian data. The homeless man. The app said he'd be crossing at 3:47. What if he wasn't there? Marcus ran toward the western approach. 2 blocks down, he found the encampment. A dozen people sleeping under thermal blankets. Recycled cardboard shelters. He scanned their faces. There. An older man. Gray beard. Worn jacket. The app confirmed it with a soft pulse. Target identified. Marcus knelt beside him. Sir? Sir, wake up. The man's eyes opened. Confused. Afraid. Who? I'm Marcus. I'm not going to hurt you. I need you to listen very carefully. The man sat up slowly. What do you want? In 50 minutes, you're going to walk to intersection 7. And you're going to die. Scene 11. The homeless man stared at Marcus. You're crazy. I know how it sounds. But I'm telling you the truth. A transport is going to lose control. You'll be in the crosswalk. It'll kill you. Then I won't cross there. Good. That's exactly what I need you to do. Don't go anywhere near intersection 7 tonight. Can you promise me that? The man's eyes narrowed. Why do you care? Marcus hesitated. Because I made a deal. And if you die, people I love die too. That doesn't make any sense. I know. The man studied Marcus for a long moment. Then he shrugged. Fine. I wasn't going anywhere anyway. Too cold. Marcus felt a flicker of hope. You promise? You'll stay here. I promise. Marcus stood, checked his neural clock. 3:12. 35 minutes. He ran back to intersection 7. If the pedestrian wasn't there, Sarah wouldn't need to swerve. She'd just brake. Avoid the drunk driver. Both live. It was that simple. Marcus positioned himself where he could see all approaches. Waited. The minutes crawled. 3:30. 3:40. 3:45. Marcus's heart was pounding. 2 minutes. A transport approached from the north, moving at normal speed. That had to be Sarah. Marcus held his breath. 3:46. Another transport from the east. Weaving. Too fast. The drunk driver. Marcus wanted to scream a warning, but he was too far away. 3:47. The drunk driver ran the red light. Sarah's transport braked hard. Anti-grav units flaring. She stopped inches from the intersection. The drunk driver sailed past. Missed her by meters. Both transports continued on. Both drivers alive. Marcus collapsed against the wall. He'd done it. He'd saved both. His holophone buzzed. Subject 1, complete. Score, +1. Remaining dead, 63. Marcus laughed. A wild, desperate sound. Scene 12. Marcus flew home as the sun rose. Dylan was still asleep. Marcus sat at the kitchen table. Exhausted. Relieved. 1 down. 63 to go. His holophone buzzed. Subject 2, James Chun, age 42. Suicide attempt. Tomorrow. 1400 hours. Location, North Side Bridge. He will jump. You must convince him not to. Marcus's relief evaporated. How was he supposed to stop a suicide? He couldn't just show up and say don't jump. That would make it worse. He needed information. Context. Marcus spent the day researching James Chun. Married. 2 kids. Lost his job 6 months ago. Wife left him 3 months ago. Eviction notice last week. The man had nothing left. And tomorrow at 1400 hours, he'd decide he was better off dead. Marcus had 24 hours. He considered his options. Could he get James a job? Unlikely in 1 day. Could he reconcile him with his wife? Not without knowing their full situation. Could he give him money? Maybe. But would that be enough? Marcus made a decision. He liquidated a chunk of his savings. 10,000 credits. Enough to cover James's rent for 6 months. Enough to breathe. The next day at 13:30, Marcus was at Northside Bridge. He set up across the street. Watching. 1400 hours. James appeared. Walked to the center of the bridge. Climbed over the railing. Marcus ran. James. Wait. The man turned. Surprised. Who are you? Marcus skidded to a stop. My name is Marcus. I know what you're about to do. I know you think there's no way out. But there is. You don't know anything about me. I know you lost your job. Your wife. Your home. I know you think you've failed. James's eyes filled with tears. I have failed. No. You're in pain. That's different. Scene 13. Pain ends. Marcus continued. Failure ends. But if you jump, you don't get to see that. Your kids don't get to see that. My kids are better off without me. That's the depression talking. That's not truth. James shook his head. You can't understand. You're right. I can't. But I can offer you something. Marcus held up his holophone. Showed him the transfer confirmation. 10,000 credits. Just hit your account. Rent for 6 months. Food. Breathing room. James stared. Why would you? Because someone gave me a second chance once. And I'm paying it forward. Take the money. Get back on your feet. If in 6 months you still feel this way, I can't stop you. But give yourself that time. Please. James was crying now. I don't deserve this. Deserve has nothing to do with it. You're a human being in pain. And I'm a human being who can help. That's all that matters. For a long moment, James didn't move. Then slowly, he climbed back over the railing. Marcus caught him as he collapsed. They sat on the bridge together. James sobbing. Marcus holding him. "Thank you," James whispered. "You're going to be okay," Marcus said. "I promise." His holophone buzzed. Subject 2, complete. Score +2. Remaining debt, 62. Over the next weeks, Marcus saved 12 more people. A woman about to drive drunk, he slashed her tires. A kid about to join a gang, he offered him a job. A man about to shoot his partner, Marcus called the enforcers with an anonymous tip. Each time, he found a way. Each time, the debt decreased. But as the months passed, the choices got harder. The scenarios more complex. And Marcus began to realize something horrible. The people he was saving. He'd seen them before. Scene 14. Dylan came home one day with a new friend. "Dad, this is Sarah. She just transferred to my school." Marcus froze. "Sarah Martinez. The woman from the first choice. Nice to meet you," she said, smiling. Marcus shook her hand numbly. Over the next month, Dylan introduced him to more people. James Chun, the man from the bridge. Now Dylan's math tutor. A girl named Emma. Subject 17. Marcus had stopped her from overdosing. A boy named Alex. Subject 23. Marcus had pulled him from a burning building. They were all here. All part of Dylan's life. Marcus opened the app with shaking hands. Read the description of Subject 47. Dylan Reeves, age 14. Accident at school. Falls from roof. You must choose. Save him, or save his teacher who will try to catch him. Both will die in the fall. You cannot save both. Marcus's world shattered. The debt wasn't about strangers. It was about Dylan's future. Every person Marcus saved became part of Dylan's life. Friends. Mentors. People who would shape who he became. And if Marcus failed, if he let any of them die, Dylan would lose them. But Subject 47. Dylan himself. Marcus had to choose between his son and someone else Dylan loved. The cruelty was perfect. Marcus looked at the deadline. 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks to figure out how to save both. Or he had to choose which one to let die. That night, Marcus barely slept. He researched the school, the roof, the physics of the fall. There had to be a way. There had to be. But every simulation came back the same. The teacher, Mr. Harrison, would see Dylan fall, would run to catch him, would succeed. But the combined weight would break the safety railing. Both would fall 4 stories. Both would die, unless Marcus intervened. But how? Scene 15. The day arrived. Marcus watched from across the street. The school roof. Dylan and his friends were up there. Some kind of project. Mr. Harrison was supervising. Marcus's neural clock showed 15:47. 3 minutes. He'd spent 2 weeks planning, running scenarios, finding the angle. He had one shot. Marcus activated the drone he'd positioned on a nearby building, loaded with emergency foam, designed for fires. If he deployed it at the exact moment Dylan fell, it would cushion the landing. Both would survive. 15:49. 2 minutes. Marcus watched Dylan lean over the edge, pointing at something. The railing was old, corroded. It wouldn't hold. 15:50. 1 minute. Marcus's finger hovered over the trigger. Dylan leaned further. The railing cracked. Dylan fell. Mr. Harrison lunged. Caught him. The railing gave way. Both plummeting. Marcus hit the trigger. The drone deployed. Foam exploded across the ground. Dylan and Mr. Harrison hit it. Survived. Marcus collapsed. His holophone buzzed. Subject 47, complete. Score, +47. Remaining debt, 17. Marcus laughed and cried at the same time. 17 more. He could do this. He could save them all. The year ended. Marcus stood in the same landing structure where it all began. The auditor appeared. 64 saved, she said. Debt paid. It's over. No, Marcus. It's beginning. She smiled. Dylan will live a long life, surrounded by people you saved. People who will love him, guide him, protect him. You gave him a future. Then why do I feel like I lost something? Because you did. You lost your innocence. You know now what life costs, what it takes to preserve it. The auditor faded. Marcus went home. Dylan was waiting. Hey, Dad. You okay? Marcus hugged his son. Yeah, I'm okay. But he wasn't. Because the app was still on his phone, and new names kept appearing. The debt was never really paid. It just changed form. And Marcus would spend the rest of his life paying it. One choice at a time. The end.